At Arrowhead Stadium, Taylor Swift stood backstage, staring out at the thundering sea of red and white with her pulse racing. Even though she had spent the most of her life performing in front of large audiences, tonight felt different. She wasn't the main attraction tonight. Travis was. Travis Kelce was enjoying the game of his life as the Kansas City Chiefs faced one of their fiercest opponents. The audience shouted every time he made a catch, and Taylor couldn't help but feel proud of the guy she had grown to love. In the most surprising manner possible, their connection began after Travis went to her performance and joked on his podcast that he had wanted to gift her a friendship bracelet. Secret talks, stolen moments, and ultimately a love neither of them could deny had all resulted from that little, charming encounter. The crowd erupted in excitement as the Chiefs won the game. When Travis sprinted off the field after scoring the game-winning touchdown, he instantly looked for Taylor's eyes. He ran toward her without thinking, perspiration dripping from his brow, helmet in one hand. Taylor said, "You were amazing," as he embraced her tightly. Travis taunted, "You know I had to show off for my girl," and planted a kiss on her forehead. There was a change in the air as they drove home that evening. It was more than a game or a celebration. Taylor sensed that something was about to happen. Travis had a plan for a week later. They finally spent some alone time together after Taylor finished a leg of her globe tour. With just the promise of a surprise and no further information, he urged that she pack a bag. Completely trusting him, she obeyed. They touched down in a remote area of Italy, far from prying eyes and flashing cameras. A beautiful home with a view of Tuscany's undulating hills was waiting. As they settled down, the air was filled with the aroma of freshly made pasta and the gentle sounds of Italian music. "This place is incredible," said Taylor as she ran her fingertips over the balcony railing as the sun started to drop. Travis said, "Only the best for you," and put his arms around her from behind. They enjoyed romantic dinners, wine tastings, and restful mornings in bed over the course of the next several days. Taylor was at peace for the first time in a long time. She realized she was ready at that point. Travis grabbed for her hand one evening as they stood under the terrace's sparkling lights. Even though his heart was racing, he felt certain and not anxious. He said, "I've been waiting for the perfect moment," in a steady but passionate voice. "I don't want this to be simply another part of our tale, Taylor. It should be the tale." Pleased at yes, he lowered himself carefully on one knee and took a velvet box out of his pocket. Her breath seized in her throat. Inside, under the gentle light of the lamps, a beautiful ring gleamed. "Marry me," he said in a whisper. Taylor nodded, tears in her eyes as her delight overcame her, and she struggled to find the right words. She finally managed a gasping yes. After putting the ring on her finger, Travis got up to embrace her. The night air carried their whispered vows and laughter into eternity, and the stars above appeared to glow a little brighter. Despite being unexpected, their love story was genuine, and it was now forever. Taylor Swift has always been an independent lady. Every stage of her life had been depicted with feelings matched to music that millions of people could relate to. She realized that this moment was unique as she was now at a crossroads between love and the life she had created. The Kansas City Chiefs' star tight end, Travis Kelce, had come into her life in the most surprising manner. It began as a light-hearted effort to give her a friendship bracelet during her performance and a humorous mention on his podcast, but quickly evolved into something more profound, a spark that neither of them could ignore. Their first months of dating had been hectic. They were seen holding hands backstage during Taylor's sold-out performances, whispering sweet nothings, and having romantic dinner dates in New York. They were also spotted laughing together during football games. Despite coming from two very different worlds, one where shouting supporters ruled a stadium, the other where screaming fans filled an arena, they somehow clicked. Now, however, as Travis celebrated yet another Super Bowl triumph, and Taylor concluded the international leg of her record-breaking Eras tour, it was time for them to decide. Would their love withstand the demands of their demanding occupations, even if it had thrived in the spotlight? The talk ultimately happened on a calm evening at Taylor's house in Nashville. They sat across from one another on the sofa, glasses of wine in hand, their faces lit by the gentle light of the fireplace. "So," Taylor said as she traced her glasses rim, "the lengthy trips, the strange hour FaceTime talks, and the sneaking around to spend a few minutes together are things we've been doing for a while. But where do we go from here, I wonder?" Travis put down his drink and let out a long sigh. "I've been thinking about that a lot, too," he said. "Tay, I don't want to be apart from you for any longer than absolutely necessary. The finest thing that has ever happened to me is you." His candor made her grin and made her heart skip a beat. Half hopeful, half teasing, she said, "So what are you saying?" "I want this to be real," he said, leaning in and holding her hands in his. "I want us to create something durable. We can no longer merely fit in time when we can. I want to work with you to plan our future." Taylor's breathing became labored. Having been burnt once, she had always been wary of love, but there was something different about Travis. He was dependable and stable, and he loved her for the person she was off stage as much as for who she was on stage. "T.O. test the waters," she said. "Are you saying you want to move in together?" Travis smiled. "I was thinking something even bigger than that." Taylor's eyes flickered with surprise as her brows wrinkled. "Bigger." He extracted a little velvet box from his pocket. When he opened it and a gorgeous diamond ring was revealed, her breath froze in her throat. He continued, "Marry me, Taylor," in a steady but passionate voice. "I'm aware of how hectic our lives are. I know that everyone is watching us all the time, but I also know that I love you, and I don't want to live another moment without knowing that you will always be mine." Taylor's eyes filled with tears as she gazed at the guy in front of her. Pure, unwavering, and genuine, he had shown her the type of love she had only ever sung about in her songs. She put a quivering palm over her lips and then gave a forceful nod. She muttered, "Yes," and then said, "Yes," louder. After putting the ring on her finger, Travis drew her into his arms and held her there as firmly as if he would never let go. The outer world vanished that night. Taylor and Travis, two souls who had finally found their forever in one another, were the only ones present. And Taylor realized that their biggest love story ever was just getting started as she gazed at the ring on her finger. This is a lengthy work of fiction about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's romance progressing. Have fun. At last, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's romance reached a new height. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have become one of the most talked about couples in the world in the more than a year since they first raised the possibility of a romance. What had begun as a light-hearted fling, Travis going to her Eras tour and openly expressing his admiration, had grown into something profound, genuine, and, to those closest to them, unavoidable. From their first public appearances to their touching social media moments, the world had seen their relationship develop. Travis had come from all over the globe to support Taylor, cheering her on the VIP tents during her shows. Taylor, on the other hand, had established himself as a mainstay at Kansas City Chiefs games, wearing red and gold and joining his loved ones in celebrating each score. However, after months of conjecture, Taylor and Travis were about to embark on a new chapter in their relationship, one that neither fans nor tabloids had fully anticipated. A moment that changes your life. Taylor had just finished another leg of her Eras tour on this cool March evening. In order to give Travis some much-needed relaxation before he had to start preparing for the next NFL season, she had gone back to Kansas City. Wrapped in a warm blanket, they were sitting together in Travis's expansive mansion's garden, taking in the sunset. While Travis distractedly stroked circles on her hand with his thumb, Taylor drank from a glass of wine. "You know," he continued softly, "I've never felt this way about anyone before." With a playful grin on her lips, Taylor turned to face him. "Oh, not even with your first love, football." Travis laughed. "Although football is fantastic, I don't find it as funny as you do. I don't feel the need to slow down and enjoy every moment." He inhaled deeply while giving her the kind of gaze that made her pulse beat. "Tay, I want more. Beyond merely spending weekends together, I want us to create something more. I'm tired of saying farewell at airports." That Taylor's breath caught in her chest. She had always taken her time to guard her heart and had always been wary of love. Everything had been simpler and more liberated with Travis. However, she said, "What are you saying?" even though she knew in her heart Travis reached into his pocket and stated, "I'm saying that I don't ever want to live without you." Then he saw the most beautiful diamond ring Taylor had ever seen as he opened a tiny velvet box he had taken out beneath the Kansas sky. Taylor's hand sprang to her lips as she gasped. "Taylor Allison Swift," he murmured, his eyes full of passion but his voice firm. "Will you marry me?" Taylor nodded, her eyes stinging with tears as she struggled to find the right words. She finally managed a gasping yes. After smiling and putting the ring on her finger, Travis pulled her into his arms and spun her around as she giggled. The whole globe had observed,